just want to introduce myself. I'm not a maths student. I'm more the social sciences side. So I work for the Faculty of Science. I'm the Media and Communications Officer. And I remember when I started working with scientists now about 5 years ago, I would sit in a room, listen to them talk, and then say, normal people are not going to understand you. And then I started realizing that if I say that, then I'm actually saying that you're abnormal. But now, having worked with scientists for such a long time, I'm now saying you guys are so great in the rest of the world. Really, they have to get that together, because there's a lot in science that we need to understand. Unfortunately, I have to go now, and I find this fascinating, and I would really like to help you if you need more support for this initiative to kind of expand it. But I just want to say, you maybe should also need to get a perspective, historical perspective. If you think about the sciences, and I know Zurab, you think that as well, that previously if you were a scientist or you went to university, you could choose what you wanted to study. You could do philosophy and art and maths and a combination of what interests you as a human being. And now students are forced into this corridor where they just have to do this one thing. And I think this cultural divide, huge divide between the natural and the social sciences is really scary. I see that everywhere. And the more efforts there are to cross this divide, the better.
Yeah, the Renaissance people.
Yes. I'm really sorry.
Just very quick, Vida, thank you very much, since you offered your help. and the point that you mentioned, so why don't we bring it back? A degree that brings that spirit back. Not just one D, right?
Yes, all of them.
It will be across the degree. And because it seems like the university studies have become far too concrete and hence far too cold.
While I don't disagree that the segregation is a bad thing, I don't think it's something that should be propagated if we can help it. Don't you think that it has come almost as a necessity based on the fact that all of these fields have increased exponentially since the Renaissance time, and as a result to really build on certain fields and be known as a successful, say for example, engineer, you have to almost dedicate a lifetime to that single field simply because the volume of current knowledge is so large that to be able to build on that, you must dedicate your entirety to that singular thing. And as such, to be able to separate these things as humans with our current lifespan is very difficult. Just as a thought.
Go to this one, and then I will continue.
Just a quick comment on what he just said. Yes, it's true that there's a lot of knowledge that's already been found, so you need to kind of learn that and then expand on it. But knowledge lies everywhere, and you'd be surprised you could find an answer to an engineering question in biology or anywhere else. So this whole you need to narrow on one place is very closing up certain opportunities in other areas. But also, so I'm not from here, so could someone explain to me why it's like a South African thing, you don't have majors or minors, you kind of just have one degree and you do that degree, you don't have it elective, well, you kind of do, but not really. Like, my friend in Australia is doing a medicine degree and she has an elective in creative writing, for instance. It's worlds apart, so just how does that work?
Just talking about the fields have gotten so advanced that you need to dedicate your life to become an expert in something to be able to advance that field. But in order to actually do interdisciplinary work, you also need something else. You need people who can bridge those experts. And it's not enough to be able to bridge disciplines. You may not need the depth of expertise, but you need to be able to communicate to experts in multiple fields. So I think that's maybe something where this Renaissance degree might position itself as that kind of a way of exploring what's possible in a way that uses these people who are deep experts, but also actually helps them work together.
Do you want to answer
every knowledge, so of course we've accumulated a lot of concrete knowledge across different fields, but these are waves, so accumulation of concrete knowledge brings new abstract insight, and a new type of concrete knowledge emerges from there. So when you want to do something interdisciplinary, the idea is not to get acquainted with all the concrete stuff in different subjects, that's too much. But those abstract and fundamental principles that have been discovered by hard work of centuries of research, they can still be communicated, and it will be very beneficial for us to learn these fundamental things. And the fact that a science major student does not have knowledge, the fundamental knowledge coming from psychology that has been evolved for the last century or so, that's a shock. Because the way psychology contributed to humankind, let's say for the last century or maybe more than that, it's a remarkable, amazing series of amazing discoveries. And now you finish in university as a science student or engineering student and you have no idea of these things. And also the other way around. Mathematics has made huge insights. Like, for example, insights to infinity, something that can be explained in a course of 1 or 2 weeks. In infinite sets and cardinality of sense and things like this. And not just that, but many other things. And very fundamental abstract discoveries that have concrete details, but one doesn't have to go into those concrete details that much, should become part of general knowledge. And answering then your question, yes, we do have a system of second major and electives, but there are these timetable clashes that makes it difficult. But sometimes it's possible to make nice combinations. It's just that one has to sit down and think more routinely about this, how to expand collaborations across faculties in terms of the timetable. For example, engineers have a very full scheduled timetable and it would be very impossible to do anything. So that's why we have abstract math courses in the evenings, so that engineers can come, and many of them do. But so we do ad hoc things, but it will be nice to set it up routinely. And I think I've also answered your question.
Just when you mentioned timetables, they make an argument for moving to a more MOOC model, where it's not so much physical
yes.
in a certain time.
Right.
So with the material being delivered, there should be more flexibility in
yes.
you get so watch the videos, you watch them at 2 times speed.
One would have to revisit
Right,
so one would have to revisit the routine of studying and going to taking classes in order to accommodate such options. Yes, absolutely. So that's why we need to do some work about that.
Maybe Richard has something to say.
So while we were talking about like needing to specialize in a certain field in order to make a new contribution, or the need for interdisciplinary collaboration, I was thinking it was very abstract, and I was trying to think about some examples. So to make it more concrete. So when you've got like mathematics and if you want to add something new to mathematics, for example, if you want to produce a new theorem, of course, you're going to have to know very in-depth mathematics, and it's going to take a long time. You will probably need to focus on that. On the other hand, a lot of new discoveries that are happening are things that are between fields. So I was thinking about, I saw a lecture where a woman was working on the problem of how do proteins form. And they were literally using particle physics to investigate how the chemistry of biological molecules work. So those are many different systems coming together, and it's entirely new knowledge that we are developing, because we don't know how proteins really work at the molecular level with how they interact with water. So it was really interesting to see that it is possible to know bits of many subjects and still learn new things. So while we were talking about like needing to specialize in a certain field in order to make a new contribution, or the need for interdisciplinary collaboration, I was thinking it was very abstract, and I was trying to think about some examples. So to make it more concrete. So when you've got like mathematics and if you want to add something new to mathematics. For example, if you want to produce a new theorem, of course, you're going to have to know very in-depth mathematics. It's going to take a long time. You will probably need to focus on that. On the other hand, a lot of new discoveries that are happening are things that are between fields. So I was thinking about, I saw a lecture where a woman was working on the problem of how do proteins form. And they were literally using particle physics to investigate how the chemistry of biological molecules work. So those are many different systems coming together, and it's entirely new knowledge that we are developing because we don't know how proteins really work at the molecular level with how they interact with water. So it was really interesting to see that it is possible to know bits of many subjects and still learn new things.
We've been trying to model the brain for ages, but the best we've been able to do is some neural networks, which we made and we don't even understand. So I think even if we do end up being able to form a complete theory of the brain, it will still be more meaningful for individuals to understand, to have some sort of an abstract concept from perhaps from the side of psychology. So I think some other sciences might do well to focus on that as well, so the neurosciences.
Thank you. I have more of a question, namely, why haven't I heard anything around propaganda, mathematics, psychology? The Wilcox building was the mentor of Hendrik Truthout, who was a psychologist. Then, where I find myself in space, I don't need anything restorative in terms of where we are historically and how those two disciplines can get justice high up on the agenda. Thank you.